Good afternoon, and today we are talking about Amos Brown Jr., 18-year-old black male who was shot to death on August the 13th, 2010. Hello, welcome to Cold Case Mysteries After Dark. My name is Lee Tricia, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so as I stated, today we're going to be talking about Amos Brown Jr., 18-year-old black male who was shot to death on August the 13th, 2010 on Lexington Avenue in Norwalk. The shooting occurred in the vicinity of El Concours Grocery. The suspect believed to be three black males in their teens or early 20s fled the scene in a silver or gray Chevrolet Malibu that was later recovered by the police. According to Norwalk Police Department Investigative Services, the state of Connecticut is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the homicide of Amos Brown Jr. All right. Excuse me. So Amos Brown Jr., who was an 18-year-old black male, was shot in the back of the head while in a car on Lexington Avenue on August the 13th, 2010. He survived the gunshot wound but was taken off of life support 2 days later at the hospital. His father stated he had to play a part in his death because he had to turn off the switch. He was my strength and my weakness, stated his father. That what he was. And I think about it all the time. As much as our kids may be, as he stated, our strength and our weakness, that I know had to be one of the hardest decisions that he had to make for his son, to pull the switch from his son. And I think I can never come to terms of doing something as such if it was my child. Amos Brown Jr. was killed about a year after he walked out of Stamford Superior Court acquitted of killing another teen by argument of self-defense. The teen, Taekwon Hunt, was known to be a member of a local gang. That gang was called the Money Greens. They were determined to murder my son, stated Amos Brown Sr. It's been a very lengthy investigation, and while there is information that our detectives uncovered as far as who was there, who may have been involved, everyone still remains relatively silent. Case remains active. So, this is still an active case, but it is still also a stagnant case. So, active but stagnant, meaning it is active because they're still investigating, they're still looking. Stagnant due to the fact that it is taking them so long to find the person who has committed this crime. Okay? The community knows who did it. They need to tell the policeman. So yet again, they know, but they don't want to talk. And it can have a lot to do with the situation of the crime, if that makes sense. Okay. Despite all the time that has passed, he's still optimistic an arrest will happen one day. And that's what we're trying to do. Basically, bring these cases back to life so an arrest can happen, to bring light, to shine justice onto these folks. He and his father relocated to Georgia after the trial ended. Just a year later, they would find themselves back in the Norwalk area, where it seemed the conflict of the past had not been forgotten. So just a year after everything had done happened, they decided that they would move to Georgia to start over, to have a new life. But they found themselves back in Connecticut. They found themselves back in Norwalk, and thinking that everything had done, rest assured, no, it did not. Just before 2 p.m. on Friday, August the 13th, 2010, gunshots rang out here, near the corner of Lexington and Olin Street in Norwalk, Connecticut. Silver sedan, transport three men, was in close pursuit of a black Honda ahead. After multiple shots were fired, the two vehicles and a gray Volvo, one car length, stopped in front of the Faith Lighthouse Church. The black Honda rolled down the hill, only coming to a stop upon crashing into El Concu Bodega, small grocery market. Police and emergency medical personnel arrived at the scene, finding Amos Brown Jr. in the driver's seat of the black Honda. He had been shot in the head. He was rapidly transported to a nearby hospital for his injuries. Authorities identified a gray Volvo with Vermont license plates just a few streets over. A man wearing a black shirt and shorts was seen trying to access the vehicle and was stopped by police. He claimed to be Brown's cousin and had been called when Brown realized he was being followed. He was questioned by authorities. It was unknown if he was detained. Authorities spent the next couple of days interviewing witnesses that were present the day of the shooting, as well as others living close by. By Sunday, a clear conscience was reached as to the description of the shooter and the events that had unfolded. Multiple people related that shortly after the shooting began on Lexington Street, a tall, thin black man wearing a red shirt with lettering emerged from the silver sedan, shooting multiple rounds into Amos Brown's Jr. vehicle. Brown's cousin in the Volvo returned fire in the street, consistent with the report from several witnesses that two separate caliber pistols were heard. This man left the scene on foot and walked into a nearby driveway. Not being able to find an exit, he made his way back around the home where the homeowner witnessed him removing his red t shirt, replacing it with a white one. He headed south on Lexington Street. Information was also obtained regarding the silver sedan, and state police issued a bulletin for locals to be on the lookout for a 2010 Chevrolet Malibu with New Hampshire license plates. It had been stolen from a nearby Enterprise Rent-A-Car on Main Avenue in Norwalk. They reported that the driver was likely armed and dangerous and was a suspect in the shooting. By Sunday evening, the shooting would officially be classified as a homicide. Amos Brown Jr. was taken off life support at 3 o'clock p.m. and faded hours later. Amos' murder was the fifth on the record for the year in Norwalk and the fourth in a span of just 3 months. Things would remain relatively noiseless surrounding the investigation for almost a year. In August of 2011, more bullets flew through the air, ripping into a residence on Strawberry Hill Avenue. Residence there was the former girlfriend of Amos Brown Jr. The 20-year-old woman was woken in bed by the sound of gunfire outside her home. She made her way out of her bed and down the hallway when she was shot in the leg. 5 people was inside the residence at the time of the shooting, all reporting that 4 or 5 shots was discarded in total. Casings were recovered near a small tree in the front. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Casings were recovered near a small tree in the front yard, and tire marks were identified, indicated of a getaway car nearby. The woman was taken to Norwalk Hospital, where she was treated for a wound to her left hamstring. Nobody else in the residence incurred any injuries. Police stated that the shooting was prompted by a long standing personal dispute, nothing that there had been several incidents on both sides in relations to the gang activity. A considerable amount of time has passed since Amos Brown Jr. was gunned down on Lexington Street in Norwalk, despite a $50,000 reward offered by authorities for any information leading to the arrest of those involved in his murder. Nobody has come forward. Nobody. So, despite the reward, nobody still has come forward with information. It's not even about the award, it's about families getting justice for their loved ones. And they have not yet did that due to the fact of people being afraid of speaking out. And I think that is with all of the cases. I mean, especially like these young folks cases. So many people are so afraid to speak out, and due to the situation of this case, I can understand the severity of the reason to why people don't want to speak out, but you have so many platforms to keeping you safe, and keeping your information confidential, especially due to the severity of the situation. Officers know how to definitely handle the situations like this, and know that not to put your lives in any danger. So if you know something, say something, and if you know who did this, speak out. Once these people is off the street, you don't have to worry about that. Like, you don't have to worry about retaliation. You don't have to worry about all of that. Like, especially them not knowing who said something, you know? And I mean, just watching Mr. Brown Sr. talking about his son on the news and how he expressed how his son was his basically his strength and his weakness. Like, it was just so heartbroken because you can just see the hurt in his eyes. That was his son, that was his baby, that was his everything. And to having to pull the plug on his child, I mean, I can only imagine how he felt. And by me having three young men that I too raised, and the streets don't know them, you know what I'm saying? Like, the streets don't know nobody, but they tend to follow the streets, and anything can happen. And I mean, like, I can only imagine how he felt. And I mean, you can still, even after all these years, you can still see the hurt in his eyes. You can still see the pain as he was speaking in reference to his son. So I mean, it will mean a lot to finally bring justice to him and his family and to this victim, and being the people, held the people accountable for their actions. So we will be speaking more on these cases as information does come in, and as I get updates on these cases, I will be speaking more on these cases. So definitely don't think that this is the last that you have heard of Amos Brown. And